Buenos dias, guys.
Hola, buenos dias.
Hola,
welcome,
hi.
welcome.
Hola, hi.
Hola, hi. Welcome to Cafecito and Crime. This is Barb. Today I'm going to be Barb.
This is Estela.
And we are going to talk to you about
Part dos.
punto. Wow. Parte número 2 de Chris Benoit. The really like sad case. And not only that, but this was part 2 of, what is it called? What would I say that it was called? Barb's number 2. Okay. I mean, case that's 2 parts. I don't know how to say it, but anyway.
So grab your cafecito.
And let's get started. So at this time, we are talking about how El Chavo was Eddie Guerrero's nephew,
which was Chris's
BFF, best friend, and they were very close. And apparently, based on what we have here, he was the last person that actually spoke to Chris before Chris committed some crimes. So if you please have clicked on this by accident, go ahead and click on the other episode because this will make more sense if you do that. In the words of a very good YouTuber that I love to death, there's always a part 1 before a part 2. Or how does she say it? Part 1 is always before 2. Yeah.
Because 1 comes before 2.
Because 1 comes before 2.
6, 7, 8, 9.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, he spoke to him and he says, hey, I love you. And, it was just a weirder I love you than you regularly would say to your, friend when you're hanging up. The tone was off. So Chavo calls Chris back and was like, hey, are you okay? Chris says, yes, I'm fine. I'm just tired. I've been through a lot with my wife. They had food poisoning. We've been in the hospital, whatever.
And their son,
Daniel. So to retract to what I was saying before, apparently he was to land in Houston because by this time they were Chavo was in Dallas. They were going to drive to Houston. From there, they were going to do a small show and then do another show, which is the big show.
Pay-per-view
which
fight.
was the pay-per-view. Wow.
Pay-per-view.
Wow. Pay-per-view fight in Beaumont. Okay. So he was to land to Houston and he told them, Chavo was like, dude, don't even worry about it. I will wait for you or I'll come back and pick you up. So they concluded that Chris would arrive in Houston at 8 a.m. to drive together to the Super Show. So that's what they would call back then. The shows that they were before the pay-per-view fights, they would be super shows. So They would kind of give you an insight of what was going to happen
in the main fight.
In the main fight, yeah. So by this time, llegan las 8 de la mañana.
Wait, what time were they supposed to meet up?
They were supposed to meet up at 8 in the morning, and he was going to pick them up. So Chris also called Scott Armstrong. So I don't know if you remember from the last episode, but Scott was a
ref,
kind of a ref slash, manager
who was traveling with
him together. They were all going to be together because they all needed to be at the super fight or the super show. Excuse me. They kept calling and asking about his new flight. So they would text him, "Hey, dude, you're still coming? Hey, did you already book your fight? What's going on?" So Scott Armstrong and Chavo went ahead and were like, well, he's not coming. We're just going to have to go to Beaumont. So they drove and left them there. And they're like, hey, we'll come back if we have to.
So they were waiting for him at Houston.
In Houston, yeah. They get to the event and everybody's asking for Chris. Everybody's asking for Chris. Hey, where's Chris? I thought Chris was supposed to be here. Blah, blah. What?
I just thought Chris and you're like, everybody's asking for Chris. And in my head, I'm like, everybody hates Chris.
That's what I thought too. Okay. That's what I thought too. So anyway, everybody's asking, hey, is he okay? Where's he at? Blah, blah, blah. And at this time, based on what Chavo is saying, they were like, well, I mean, we kind of wanted to not say shit because we didn't want to get him in trouble, cover for him because that's what friends do. So after the event, they were like, well, let's go back to Houston and see if we can pick after the super show.
Okay,
so they're in Beaumont. And so let me kind of tell you guys a little bit. So Beaumont, if you're not around from the H or from the area. So Beaumont is about, I would say maybe 20 to 30 minutes from Houston, depending on where you're in
Houston. It could be an hour.
It could be an hour based on traffic. And so then what they do is that he goes back, they drive to Beaumont and they're like, you know what? No llegó. He didn't call. Let's go back to Houston. We'll meet him up over there and pick him up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because that's what he had said.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he probably flew into Bush Airport, and that's pretty far from fucking Beaumont.
Yeah, it's pretty far. So then by this time, they're like, we're going to drive back. They drove back to Houston and waited for him in the hotel or whatever they were going to stay. Next thing you know, as they're sleeping, everything is chill, but Chavo gets a kind of a weird text message at 5 a.m. So some people say 5, some people say 4, whatever, but it wakes him up. So Chavo says, it woke me up at 5, but when he read to see what time the text message had come in, it had come in at 3:53 in the morning.
Oh, fuck.
It said, and I quote, "The dogs are in the enclosed pool area. The garage door is open." That's all it says.
Okay.
Okay. So El Chavo looks at it, but he's like, it's fucking 4 a.m, dude. I need to get up to go pick him up in the airport at 8 anyway. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's probably
So this is the day that he was supposed to fly in. Okay.
Yeah. So by this time, he's like, because they have to be at the pay-per-view fight in Houston. I mean, back in Beaumont the next day. Well, they had to drive away. Something like that. It was really confusing to me.
Yeah, I was like, wait. Okay, so the Super Show fight was the same day as the pay-per-view fight?
The day before.
The day before, which is what he didn't show up to.
So the pay-per-view fight was going to be in Corpus.
Okay.
So they were going to drive to Corpus.
Okay.
So, pero they went to Beaumont to do like a little Super Show on Saturday.
No, I thought the Beaumont was a super fight.
No. Super Show was before. Remember I told you that's kind of like the pre-fight of the pay-per-view?
In Corpus?
No, the big fight was in Corpus.
Oh, okay.
Fight.
I guess I just misunderstood. I'm sorry.
So, sorry guys, I don't know if I confused you. I haven't taken my meds. Anyway, so he's like, dude, I'm going to see you in a little bit. Me voy a volver a dormir.
So the message was from Chris.
It was from Chris.
Okay.
Chris le manda un message y le dice, the dogs are in the enclosed pool area. The garage door is open. So by this time, dice...
So seguro lo leyó con un ojo abierto.
Yeah,
y
like medio apendejado, like whatever.
And shit.
So then he thought it was a text. You know how back in the day, like fucking texting was new. In 2007, like you had to push all the buttons and shit
all the number buttons.
1, 2, 2, 2,
yeah.
to get
Unless
to...
you had a fucking sidekick.
No, that was your brother. Oh, I hated him. Anyway, or a BlackBerry?
I don't think Blackberries were out just yet. In 2000, no.
In 2007?
No. Well, I did it. Remember when Blackberries became like a thing? I remember I had my Blackberry, which was like around 2010, 2011.
Yeah, but maybe we were behind, dude, because we were broke as fuck. Yeah. Anyway, by this time, dude, I was already with Alex at this time.
2007?
Uh-huh.
What was I in 2007? I was
old as fuck.
In my sophomore year of high school.
A la madre, que ya chinguet esto tú. Anyway, so then he's like, it was fine. He was like, whatever. But just 30 minutes later, Chavo gets another text message.
Like around 4 in the morning.
Around 4 in the morning. But this time it wasn't even. It was like 30 seconds later. So
okay.
Yeah, 30 seconds later. Like Chris's came in at 3:53. 30 seconds later, the other one comes in and it is from Nancy's phone. But it says the same thing.
Okay.
And so then followed by, so it's 30 seconds, sale el de Nancy, y luego viene el otro, another message again. This one's from Chris again, and he's saying, my physical address is 130 Green Meadow Lane, Fayetteville, Georgia, 30215.
Okay.
Which is weird because Chavo had just been at his house, so he knew his address. Not only that, pero...
Chavo is in fucking Houston, not in Georgia.
Exactly.
So
no. This is what he's saying. He's messaging him. My physical address is this.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why would like you said, why would El Chavo
need that information?
If he's in Houston, he's not going to go pick you up in Georgia and take you your fucking fight.
By the way, guys, I looked up Fayetteville, Georgia, and I didn't like any of the fun facts because they were not nice. So we're going to just say that it was a very rural area.
Yeah. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. That's
and racist.
Very racist. Anyway, so once again, he blows it off. He's like, okay, fine. It's nothing. But Chavo was confused, but...
Se volvió a dormir.
He's like, I'm going to see him in the airport. I'm going to pick him up in a few hours.
Because I'll ask him then. Yeah.
So then what happens? Chavo had no idea that he was not the only one that had received these messages. Apparently, Chris had also sent the messages to 4 other coworkers, and they were all saying the same thing or similar. And so then Chavo was waiting for Chris at the airport. So by this time, he's like, okay, I get up. It's 8 a.m. Let's go. Maybe even 6 because I don't know how far he was at. Mm-hmm. And he's like, let's go. But he meets up with Scotty Armstrong again. with Scotty Armstrong. Remember, guys, that this is the ref slash manager. And he asked him, hey, did you get a weird text by any chance? And he said, yes. He's like, I got a text from Chris. So by this time, Chavo was like, oh shit, something is wrong. So they start calling him. They start calling him and calling him and calling him and texting him. Hey, dude, you good? Hey, dude, nothing. This time he's like, dude, it's already late. We have to get to Corpus because from here to Corpus is what? 6 hours to drive? Around 6 hours? I don't know. Don't quote me on that, guys. Don't come after me. Anyway, so then they leave to the pay-per-view event. So this time it's Sunday. Right? They're going to the pay-per-view event because the pay-per-view events were usually, remember, on Sundays. And then Monday Night Raw was the next day. So the Sunday was the day of the pay-per-view event. They had to be there so that they can be live.
So originally they had to have met with Chris on Friday.
On Friday. Yeah.
Pero es cuando he started saying that they were sick.
So
okay.
So technically,
he's been MIA for 2 days.
2 days. And so then, and he's being weird, sending people text messages and stuff. And then they're just covering for him. People are like asking him and stuff like that. And they're still the same. Hey, no, I have no idea. I don't know. So nobody knows about the text messages. But at this point, Chavo and Scotty. Right? Because they asked each other. Nobody else knows that they've got these other messages. So this is a kind of a weird fact because there's a lot of stuff that happened. I don't know if this was because he was a celebrity and people were like, even more stuff was coming out. But a weird fact was that Chavo himself said that Art Anderson. Okay, so who's Art Anderson? Art Anderson was the wrestler that he was going to go fight against. Okay, so this is the reason for the pay-per-view fight for Chris.
Yes.
Was that he was going to fight Art for the ECW championship. Okay, so this is the reason. The thing is, as we know, Chris has been getting, taken off of the writing him off.
Yeah, slowly.
So he needed this. This was a big deal for him. So he says he made a comment when he found out that Chris was not answering nor showed up. And he said, this is what he said, and I quote, if Benoit does not show up with no word, he said he's either taking off to Alaska to become a merchant marine or he's dead.
Because he needed this. There's no way that he would have missed this fight if it wasn't for something wrong. Something being wrong.
Yeah. And so Chavo is like, at this point, we didn't know what had happened, but they were thinking, okay, if he did go to Alaska, because he wanted to be alone. Like he wanted to be in a rural area once again.
Oh, my life, my dream.
So then, shut the fuck up. Anyway, so then, they're just kind of going back and forth. He didn't know anything. He didn't know that at this point, he just knew he's running late or he's not here. So he was not meaning it, but he was trying to say something must be going on. Like you just said, like it was a big deal for him. So the WWE at this time tries to get in contact with Chris and check on him once he didn't show up. For now, the third event. So this is the third time that he doesn't show up, and they leave him a message around 7 p.m. So you can actually find the message that they left.
So he was supposed to show up at what time in the morning? And now it's 7 p.m. and they haven't heard from him. In the afternoon,
and they haven't heard from him. So then by this time, the secretary and you can hear like the Vince McMahon's secretary, McMahon's, whatever his name is, secretary, which by the way, I've lost a lot of respect for that man.
Trash.
Because very big trash. So then they say, hey, this is so-and-so. Her name was like Annie or something. I just want to check on you, make sure you're okay. Please give us a call. Left a message at his home. Left a message on his cell phone. Nothing. By 11 p.m., the team had no idea what had happened. So they were like, okay, well, whatever. So we're in Corpus Christi now. Corpus Crispy. Sorry, people. Corpus Christi. And there's still no word. And they tell him the head of talent relations, his name was Johnny. So Alex says he remembers Johnny. I don't remember Johnny.
I don't remember Johnny.
But anyway, Johnny was a head of talent relations. Chavo says, hey, he's like, hey, can you look at my phone? Now I'm starting to worry because it's this time and he's still not answering. So I want to show you my phone, because by this time they've already done, they Art went and fought and everything. So everything was done. The pay-per-view fight was done. So then he's like, I want to show you this. Johnny was like, dude, why didn't you show me this before? You're not the only one that's gotten the messages.
Oh.
So then he's like, well, we were just trying to hide, help him out or whatever,
Cover him somewhat.
Yeah, cover him. Once again, he didn't know that this
Other
was
people
happening.
received the message.
So by this time, when Johnny finds out, and Johnny apparently is also like a part of, or somebody's a part of the head of security of WWE. So by this time, WWE calls the Atlanta PD, and they actually have a recording of this, and they say, "Hey, this is WWE. My name is so-and-so. I'm the head of so-and-so. And I need somebody to go check on one of our wrestlers by his home." So they send a detective. The detective's name is Larry Eldon. And the reason I know Larry Eldon, because Larry Eldon was actually one of the people that spoke in one of the like Vice or something like that, the documentaries. He had actually seen Chris at his gym. So it was such a small community that even the detective kind of had already seen him around. So he knew who he was, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
He's Chris Benoit, at the gym. So a few times, but he'd never like talked to him or anything. So when they actually told him he needed to go out there, he was kind of like, "Oh, okay. I know where he lives. I know who that is."
Yeah,
right?
I'll go.
So he went. And when he's there, before he walks in, there's a neighbor by the name of Holly. She was actually on this place too. And Holly said, "Hey, you know what? Do you want me to go open the door to secure the dogs?" Because they had 2 German Shepherds.
Oh, so cute.
I know. So anyway, they had 2, sorry guys. They had 2 German Shepherds. And Miss Holly is like, "Do you want me to just secure the dogs?" And because I have a key. So she had a key, because she actually would go feed the dogs while they were gone. So she's like, "I can go in there, open the door, secure the dogs, and make sure that
you guys are good to go in.
You guys are good to go in." Because you never know. I mean, dogs, they're
Protect.
big, protect.
Not yours,
And
but.
so then he has issues. The detective was like, "Sure, go ahead. I mean, who wants to get bit by a German Shepherd?" So a few moments later, okay, so this is where it gets a little bit sad, okay? So a few moments later, Holly comes out screaming at the top of her lungs that she had found Daniel and he was dead.
The 7-year-old.
The 7-year-old. So Daniel is the 7-year-old son of Chris Benoit. This is where it kind of gets a little bit hard for me because I have a 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. So police stormed into the property. Once again, police stormed into the property and they found the bodies of Nancy and Chris as well. Nancy was found in the upstairs bedroom. Her hands and her feet were bound and she was wrapped in a towel. So not a blanket, a towel. And a Bible was next to her.
Oh my God.
Daniel was found in his room and he was not bound and there was no external injuries for him, which indicated that what they say was that he was suffocated, but there was a Bible next to him as well.
Oh my God.
And then the last person to be found downstairs in his own home gym, and he was hanging from a self-made.
Oh my God.
He actually made himself a pulley. A pulley. You know what that is? A pulley. Yeah. So he made himself a pulley from, I don't know, like from the mismo donde se estiraba la machine.
His workout.
So his workout machine. And he hung himself. So they were all dead by this time. And I didn't read if there was a Bible. I think there was a Bible next to him too. Like he had more than one Bible in the house or he went, whatever it was. So obviously, by this time, they're like, okay, they're all dead. Let's find out what happened. Did somebody forcefully come in? Did somebody, what happened?
Somebody do this.
So with close examination of the house, it was determined there was no forced entry. Apparently, there was no evidence of showing that anybody tried to get in. Basically, what's saying was that he did it. So they had all died at different times. This is where it gets kind of crazy because you're like, fuck, man, really? So Nancy was the first one to die, basically on Friday, the 22nd.
When he was supposed to leave. Oh, shit.
Yes.
So they have been dead for days. Well, Nancy, so far.
And we're in Atlanta in June.
Oh, my God.
So we know that, I don't know if anybody else knows that, but Atlanta in the South is hot as fuck. And it is hot as balls anywhere in the South in the June. They're saying that when they found her, there was a pool of blood next to her and the toxicology report was done and she did have some alcohol in her system. And it appears that she also had some Xanax or Lazopram and also some hydrocodone, but very small amounts because it seemed like she did struggle with the person that strangled her. Like she put up a fight. That's why there was blood around her. Then she actually had already started to decompose.
Yeah, well, it's fucking hot, and she had been dead for 2 days before they found him, right? Because they went into their house on Sunday.
Yeah. So by this time, she was the one that had more decomposing, like they were starting to decompose. So probably that's why they knew that she had been dead longer. So now they went to go look at Daniel, the 7-year-old, and it seems like he was killed the next day. So it took them the 22nd, the 23rd, which is Saturday. Mm-hmm. Mind you, if you remember, Chavo gets a phone call from him.
Yeah.
So all of this happened when Chavo talks to him. He had already killed his family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel seemed to be killed the next day, and when they did his toxicology report, they found some Elazopram or Xanax in his body.
So he drugged them, so he could kill them.
I don't know,
or at least Daniel.
At least Daniel. So they say that they're pretty sure Daniel. There was no fight, no struggle or anything.
No,
so there was a lot of Xanax in his body, so he probably drugged them, and he was unconscious, which is good.
Yeah, he didn't suffer.
The last one to die,
you killed his mom. So the little boy was in his house where his mom was dead. So was he not asking for the mom? Like, what?
Yeah. Or like you just killed his mom, like upstairs. And and they're in her room and she's in there wrapped around in a towel. And then
he's asleep.
Let's say
he's asleep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Which was crazy to me because if you think about the actual text messages, they tell them he puts the dogs out.
Well, yeah, the dogs would have attacked him for sure. I think
to
protect Nancy and Daniel.
I think for sure for Daniel, because there's actually pictures online of Daniel hugging on the dogs and stuff. So the dogs were close to him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was in his right mind, according to me, a little bit.
You knew what you were doing, for sure.
By this time, it appears that he had taken his life that Sunday. So
he was in his house. Mm-hmm. So wow. Like, how you just... I mean, I know he wasn't well mentally, but like, how are you just sit there with your murdered wife, and then you killed your murdered son, and then what do? You just chill there for like... Do you work out, and then you kill yourself on Sunday?
I don't know.
Like, they don't know? I'm sure you're going to get to it, but...
No, they don't know. So, by this time, they're deceased. Everybody is going crazy. The news is hitting, blah, blah, blah. WWD was... Why do I keep saying WWD?
I know you make fun of me when I can't speak, when I'm the one talking, but...
I didn't take my meds. Leave me alone.
You never take your meds.
The WWE was informed at 4:15 p.m. of the findings. So, Chavo remembers the moment that they told him that this had happened. So they put all of the wrestlers in the ring. And so then they were asking, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Like, everybody's like, what's going on? You know how whenever you go to a meeting at work, because I know at my job, I'll be like, bitch, what you do? Hey, bitch, what you do?
There's a reason.
There's a reason why we're here.
Like, what's happening?
Like, what's happening?
Does anybody know?
No. ¿Qué hiciste, güey? No, pues no. Llegué tarde, la verdad. Okay, y luego entonces, does remember is that when he goes on the ring in the corner, I remember this guy. I don't know if anybody else does, but his name is Ric Flair. And Ric Flair was the, main guy of one of the main guys of WWE. He would come out sometimes on the videos and stuff. And he was crying. He was crying like a baby. So this is Chavo saying, hey, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you crying? What's going on? And, and all he kept saying was, they're gone. They're gone. And so then Chavo was like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean? Who's gone? Like, what's going? And he said he couldn't say nothing, but they're gone. And he's like, in my mind, I kind of knew what he was talking about, but I didn't want to believe it. He's like, and in the video where he's talking about it, his voice starts cracking a little. He's like, because I still remember the way I felt when they told me that. It's crazy, dude. Like, at this point, I'm like, fuck, what the hell? So the WWE, otra vez, pues, pinches vergas, que no puedo decir WWE.
So don't be
From
making
now
fun of
on,
me.
It's going to be the World Wrestling Department instead of... I made it different, okay? Le cambié el pinche nombre a la verga. What the fuck, man? The WWE wanted to be the first to release any information. As you know, everything's about money and revolves around money.
Can you fucking let the police release this information, please?
Exactly.
Police.
They had this thing that they used for people like that they had subscribers to. So you would subscribe, mandabas el message con los números, and then you would pay every month to get news from the WWE.
Oh, cool.
So that's what they would say, and I'm going to send it to you. So I just send it to Estela, and it says kind of just breaking news, Sims alert, and then it says text or whatever, and you would have messages from like Ric Flair or Vic McMahon, whatever. So then that's what they started to do. And because they wanted to make money, that's where they did. They released and they were like, hey, they found Chris, blah, 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 all of this shit, right? But by this time, the cops are like, wait a minute, bro. Hold on. Give me a minute. Because they hadn't released anything yet, the cops.
But they wanted to, like you said, they wanted to make money. They wanted to release a fucking headline themselves first.
Exactly.
Just way.
I'm telling you, bitch. And so then I was like, okay. I think that they did release it a little bit prematurely.
Oh, just a tiny bit.
Just a little tiny bit.
So
they did the statement, and I'm going to send you the statement if you don't mind reading it for us, because, estoy pendeja, and sometimes...
no puedes hablar.
No puedo hablar, but I'm going to send it to you. So here you go. I'm actually going to just give you my phone so that you can read it.
Okay, this is the statement from WWE?
Yes, this is a statement from WWE that after this is what they released on the web
texting.
On the texting thing. Yeah,
okay. It says World Wrestling Entertainment was informed today by authorities in Fayette County that WWE superstar Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and his son were found dead in their home. Authorities are investigating, but no other details are available at this time. Instead of its announced programming for tonight on USA Network, WWE will air a 3-hour tribute to Chris Benoit. Chris was beloved among his fellow superstars and was a favorite among WWE fans for his unbelievable athleticism and wrestling ability. He always took great pride in his performance and always showed respect for the business he loved, for his peers, and towards his fans. This is a terrible tragedy and an unbearable loss. WWE extends its sincere condolences and prayers to the surviving members of the Benoit family and their loved ones in this time of tragedy. WWE.com.
That was it. So then after this statement, they replaced, like they said on there, they replaced
the
fight, and they were like, okay, well, with fine, whatever, with the 3-hour segment. And it was the Raw show that they had that night, and it was a 3-hour memorial tribute, and they actually got all of the tribute from Chris's video. He had a DVD. But by this time, we're DVDs, not videos anymore. But it
not
was
VHS.
Not VHS. But they were called Hard Knock. It's called Hard Knock: The Chris Benoit Story. So this is actual DVD out there, and they got like clips from there, and they just made a 3-hour tribute for him.
But they didn't release that it was.
Wait, there's more. So then
they broke the story.
They broke the story. They're like, we're gonna be the first ones to say it because he's our person. Blah blah blah. Here's 3 hours of this shit, right? So people are like, oh my god, what the hell? People are speculating on the website, on the little thing. People were like talking back and forth, what happened, texting
blah, blah.
each other, blah blah blah. Okay, so kind of like ¿cómo se llama when they do like instant messaging and shit? No, not it wasn't. It was more like
a blog,
like a blog,
like Reddit. Like Twitter?
Like Twitter. Ándale, yeah.
I love Twitter.
So Twitter, but back in 2007. And so hours after this happening, the news or the actual cops released a statement of their own saying that the deaths were being investigated as possible murder-suicide.
What?
As possible murder-suicide.
Damn.
And that, listen to this, and that instruments of death were found at the scene.
Imagine hearing those words.
I don't know why that instrument of death, like, I couldn't get that off my mind. Like, after I read that,
An instrument of death?
Like,
it sounds like, to me, when you said that, like the Grim Reaper, que tiene su little...
Sí.
That's what I think of, like,
an instrument of death maybe could have been what he used to kill himself.
But I've never heard that.
So somebody say that before. What the fuck? I was like, okay. So not long after... of course, they retracted their decision, the WWE.
Their statement, you mean?
Their statement. Their decision about making the 3-hour thing.
Oh, I thought they had already posted
it. They had already posted it. So
they took it off.
They took it off. They retracted their decision or their statement, and they released another statement. And I'm going to tell Estela to read it because, I can't read. Estoy media pendejita. Okay, so this is actually a statement that was read by Vic himself, Big Man, whatever his name is.
This is he said this after they took the tribute of Chris off air, and they were retracting their statement. Yeah. Okay. It has been ruled that the deaths of Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel earlier today were the result of a double murder suicide from within the home. WWE.com will have more as soon as it becomes available. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Last night on Monday Night Raw, the WWE presented a special tribute show recognizing the career of Chris Benoit. However, now some 26 hours later, the facts of this horrific tragedy are now apparent. Therefore, other than my comments, there will be no mention of Mr. Benoit's name tonight. On the contrary, tonight's show will be dedicated to everyone who has been affected by the terrible incident. Vincent McMahon.
Yeah, it's spelled McMahon. I mean, you say McMahon, but it's spelled McMahon or something like that.
McMahon.
Yeah, like McMahon, but it's McMahon.
McMahon, yeah.
So then he states that basically he's saying...
He did this shit.
I did this. He did it to himself. So never mind. Fuck all the years that he's had been in the WWE, WWF, WCW, and you're just going to cut everything out. So basically, they were so adamant about not a mention of his name, not a mention of his pick. I'm talking about everything. Because at the beginning of every show, they would have like a collage of all the like people, the wrestlers and shit. They even took his ass off of there. Like they took him off completely. So they were just erasing everything.
I see where they were coming from. And
you and I talked about that,
yes.
And I understand that it's a decision that's probably made for like to save their asses.
I don't think it's to save their asses. But that's the thing, like, this all happened within a span of, 2 days when everything started coming out? Because, I mean, obviously, like we just said, they got ahead of themselves releasing a fucking statement.
Because nobody fucking told them to do that shit.
Mind your fucking business.
Mind your business. And let the police do the thing. So then at this time, by now, who looks stupid, though?
They did. Because they
jumped the gun and threw out all these things, and you're telling us how much you love this person, and then all of a sudden, never mind, I don't love him anymore. You know what I mean? So then,
it's just that to me, I can see both sides because they don't know that he was suffering mentally. So they just are like, he did this shit. He killed his wife and his son, and then he killed himself. That's all they see, and that's all they know.
Definitely.
So that's why they took it upon themselves to take him, not erase. Well, yeah, technically.
No, they erased him.
Like take him off any viewings because the public does not want to see that. But they don't know. They don't know the
actual reality of what happened.
That he had mental health issues.
So then after this, we actually have a statement from Chris's oldest son. Because remember, he had other 2 kids.
Yes.
I could not find any information about his daughter. Like, I looked everywhere.
He had a daughter and a son?
He had a daughter and a son.
I mean... Good for them, sometimes they don't.
So maybe she just didn't want to have anything to do with it. But Chris's son, he's actually come out in some videos and he's actually talked about his dad and all this other shit. So, I mean, he's cool. He says that he wished that the WWE would try to remember some of the good things that his dad did or Chris did, and that why not try to see the artist for his art, not for who the artist is. And I get it. I understand where he's coming from. But unfortunately, in this world of humans and trash that we sometimes are, that doesn't happen. You always get based on, he was in the fucking wrestling, whatever. How many years? 22 years. No, he didn't. They never put him on the Hall of Fame. No. And that's what he wants. He wants to see if they would ever, but I really highly doubt. At this time, that's what we know. He killed his family. But
this is going on, 2 days after he was found? Or they found out
26 hours?
26 hours. See, that's not a lot of time to fully understand what happened in that situation.
Well, I mean, right now we've been at almost 15 years and people still speculating and shit. Like literally I found videos that were done last year. I found videos that were done this year about everything. Like it's been something that has been ongoing. This is why I could not stop fucking writing because of this.
There was I was on Twitter and he was trending. So people were saying on Twitter that, I think his scans for his brain got brought out, but I'm not going to go into the scans, but a lot of people, that's what they were going on about in the threads. They were like, well, he obviously suffered from so and so and so. How are you? He wasn't well.
Yeah, he wasn't well. We're going to try to talk a little bit about what happened. Why did he do this? Why do you think Chris did this to his family? Because everybody that ever was interviewed about Chris said the same thing. He was the nicest person in the world. There was no way he could have hurt his son because every fight that he had in his son was there in the corner with him. If you didn't want to be with somebody, if you didn't care for somebody, you wouldn't
bring him around. Which
is True. So they're like, okay, what happened? So here's the deal. I did find some information of things that he did look up. So this is like years later. We're talking about like years later.
It's just they keep information, they don't release it until later
obviously.
on. Yeah,
So one of the informations that I found was that he did find Google or Google search, or I don't know what kind of search.
Ask Jeeves.
What is the fastest way to break a neck?
Oh my God.
Yeah. He was Googling like, will I go to heaven if I kill my son? You know, like that kind of stuff. So he did do his research. And so they were like, what the fuck?
So he planned this. He knew what
you would think, but let's go. So here's the deal. A lot of people started speculating. They had a lot of theories, dude. Like theories of people.
Oh yeah, for sure. People, their conspiracies.
I don't know if it's just because it was a celebrity kind of person or what it was, but I mean theories. I was talking about there was people that were talking about that there was a home invasion. There were people talking about somebody had done this from him, from old rivalry.
Oh, people didn't want to believe that he would do this.
That he would do it. The last one was that there was like, they went as far as saying the government had done it. Like, It's crazy. This is one of the actual like conspiracies that we have, or that they
like one of the main ones.
One of the main ones. So this weird thing happened on Wikipedia. As we know, Wikipedia is not very credible, and this is probably around the time that they found out how fucking fucked up Wikipedia was. El pinche vecino puede escribir lo que quiera en el pinche
Everybody
Wikipedia.
Can go edit
Anybody
Wikipedia.
can go edit, random ass people. So anything can be edited. Is made up of volunteers that write out and they don't get paid. They're just like basically picándose el pinche culo sin nada que hacer.
Metiendo su cuchara.
Metiendo su pinche cuchara, exactly. Anybody that has internet is able to become a writer for them. Point of the story is there were some articles that were edited. Some of them are kind of restricted, but most of them you can just do whatever, as you said. Somebody had made some edits to Chris's account the day before.
His Wikipedia page?
His Wikipedia page. I said account. I don't know if it was an account. I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know what the fuck. But the thing is, it was between 10 and 13 hours before they found the bodies. And this is what it said. Chris Benoit was replaced by Johnny Nitro for the Echo Championship, the WCW, whatever, championship match at Vengeance, as Benoit was not there due to personal issues stemming from the death of his wife, Nancy. This was 13 hours before they found the bodies. So nobody knew that he had done that yet.
So when did the edit, who made the edit at what time?
That's what I'm going to tell you. The edit was made actually June the 25th of 2007. The bodies were found not until the day after.
The Monday.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these people knew that Nancy was dead beforehand.
Okay. Well, I was confused because from earlier, I understood that the bodies were found Sunday.
No, well, that's the time that they called the cops and they went over there. But the statement wasn't released until the day after because, I mean, you have to...
Yeah, you can't release it that fast either. So did he edit his own fucking page?
No. Someone in some of the Wikipedia editors add resources were actually there and they were like, wait a minute, who the fuck is writing this? Like, you have to have resources, right? So they write, hey, you need to add resources articles to back
whoever
did this. And then within an hour, there was another post of somebody else, and that stated that it needed reliable sources, saying that his wife is dead is a pretty big statement. You need to back it up with something. Like, you can't just be fucking saying that. Because by this time, nobody knew that his wife was dead. Like, they're like, but what the fuck are you doing? The police
did, but not the public.
Not the public. Then the other person writes again. So they're going back and forth inside of the actual page. The guy says, several pro wrestling websites say that she's dead.
Okay.
And so then they're like, wait a minute, you can't just say that. That's not a reliable information.
Can you link the sources?
Link the. So then I think that at least someone was at least verifying that these things were correct, but
trying to say, at least.
Those kind of things. Excuse me. And so then this was going back and forth within an hour, whatever. Then after that, the police was like, this blows up. It was crazy. Like, everybody was like sending tips. Hey, this guy had already written this. Y'all need to look into him and blah, blah, blah. After that, the WWE releases a statement of them being dead. They're like, hey, y'all need to look into this guy. He was writing this, so and so. So they look into it, right? And so the person that wrote the edit confessing that he did do it, but that it was just a terrible coincidence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's like, no.
But that's why he didn't write anything else, just Nancy, right?
That he wrote Nancy, yeah. So then he's like, no, it was just a very bad coincidence.
So was it really? So
I'm gonna give you what he wrote. Okay, he wrote this statement anonymously. So supposedly nobody knows who this is. But by this time, everybody's like giving backlash because they're like, bitch, you knew before the police even fucking like released.
Yeah.
So then
how did you know this?
How did you know? So this is what he says.
Last weekend, I heard about Chris Benoit no showing at Vengeance because of a family emergency. And I had heard rumors about why that was. I was reading rumors and speculation about this matter online, and one of them included that his wife may have passed away. And I did the wrong thing by posting it on Wikipedia despite there being no evidence. I posted my speculation on the situation at the time, and I am deeply sorry about this. And I was just as shocked as everyone when I heard that this actually would happen in real life. It is one of those things that just turned into a huge coincidence.
Yeah,
that's it.
So then he's like, yeah,
literally, it was just
a coincidence.
That's crazy.
But you're like, bitch, really? Like just a coincidence? By this time, I believe it was because what I found out while reading was that a lot of the people, once they found out that he wasn't going to be in there, they started talking shit. They started saying, oh, well, why isn't he there? He did this. Well, he's a druggie, all this other shit. And one of them was that his family was dead. So he just took it along and he just did that.
Like you said that earlier, like that other guy said that he was going to be fighting against. Like if he's a no-show, it's because he moved to Alaska or he's dead or something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they did eventually release who the person that had done this. And his name, his name was Michael Greenberg. He was a 19-year-old man that still lived with his parents. So he had nothing to motherfucking do.
But he was right.
Yeah, he was right.
To an extent.
Yeah. So he's no police. The police was like, please stop sending us, messages about this guy. He is not an important asset. We do not need to talk about him. So
he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. So then the police stated that there was not the only time that someone with the same IP address was investigated. So this IP address had already been put out on the radar. And apparently he had been flagged for vandalizing other Wikipedia accounts and saying racist edits about NBA star Ron Artest. So this was not the first time
he was doing shit like that. But this time he just happened to be right in some sort of way. It was just a weird coincidence.
So no charges were given to this man because there was no reason why. Mm-hmm. But see, here's the sneaky thing that I think is kind of sneaky is because reading into it a little bit more, if they did find out que este güey had already cleaned up, and I mean como en quotations, cleaned up, and removing some negative comments about Chavo Guerrero. In his Wikipedia page.
Okay.
So I guess he did have a link because Chavo was the last person to receive information from Chris. But dude, is this just like
a coincidence?
A coincidence. They're speculating, some people, that they might have known about the text message a lot earlier than what they're actually saying. And somebody had already went out there. But since they wanted to be the first ones to actually release the information, that they think that maybe they had already been out there before the police even went out there, to kind of just send somebody over there that they knew, hey, go check on Chris, and they already had found the bodies.
What do you think?
I really do think that a lot of things were a little bit of a kind of crazy coincidence, but here's what I think. So hold on to your calzones, guys, because this is going to get the ride's going to get a little crazy here. So as we know, he was an avid steroid user. Okay. Yeah. But many wrestlers are avid steroid users in the industry, and there is a lot of side effects of what, that there's like things like rage. There's things like all kinds of Paranoia. But we're talking about in high volumes, right? So people call this it's called like steroid, but roid rage, ROIDI. Yeah. Look it up. It's actually a thing. They have stories about how people are upset about
the smallest things.
Not only that, but they get actual road rage. They get like crazy stuff. So when someone they use this, they call people that have road rage manic rage, and they cannot control it because of the medication, right?
The roids.
But I don't think that this is the reason why Chris killed his family. Like literally, what was very unsettling was that when they did go into, as we said, he premeditated this. We think that he was actually kind of self-minded, saying, okay, I'm doing this, was because his house was so fucking neat. I mean, like the trash in the trash can. La cocina estaba limpia. Like there was nothing out of place. Everything looked perfect. Like if you would have walked into a house, you would have never known that there was bodies in the room. Like he did everything so meticulously. If it was somebody that was in a rage, don't you think they would have thrown shit around?
Like a crime of passion in the moment.
A crime of passion in the moment. Or I mean, did he have time to clean up? Yeah, but where's all the stuff that he used to clean up? You know, I mean, he literally did everything to a point in his mind that he was doing it correctly, right? Also, another thing that they say that another reason they don't think it was a steroid use is because he didn't leave a note, right? Well, later on in time, they give the next of kin a lot of the boxes that they found.
In the home.
And I don't know if the boxes or whatever that they gave, they didn't search very well. But according to some sources say that there was a letter and that the letter was placed inside of another book or something. And whenever Miss Martina was going through his stuff, she found the letter. So the letter says that what he was going through a lot, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's actually released a letter for us to be able to read it. But I mean, only God knows what's, honestly, this is crazy because it could go one way or another. And like I said, again, he did look up how was the quickest way and all kinds of that. But here's the biggest thing is a toxicology report revealed that Chris did not have enough steroids in the system for it to be anything abnormal. He only had therapeutic amounts of steroids, which means that there was not enough for him to have.
To the point of being manic.
There's no
rage.
There's no way. There's no way that with the amount of steroids, it was therapeutic. It was very minimal, the amount.
Yeah.
So other thing mentioned that we could say was his physiological mental health, right?
Yeah.
Chris was known to have many beatings on the head. He was known to beat people with his fucking head. Like that was his signature mood. I'm gonna beat the shit at you while headbutting you. Yeah.
Head first.
So, and he never got checked again. Like he didn't care.
That blows my mind.
Also, there's people that said that he was one of the only guys that would withstand a hit on the back of the head with the metal chair.
What the fuck?
Like he would get hit. I'm talking about 22 years in the fucking wrestling ring.
Tu manager no te dice, bro, like, do you don't want to like go
but dude,
to el hospital?
Pero like, bro, sí, yo entiendo que te dicen eso, pero a ver, tú crees que you're on top of the world, tú haces lo que te tu verga gana. If you don't want to listen, you don't listen. That's just to where you are. Like in that moment, he thought that that's what's going to get him further in life. But who would have known that it was not going to get him anywhere? So obviously it did affect the body in many ways. So they did a head scan, as you know, you mentioned earlier. And this is so fucking crazy to me because it mind blown to me that he suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy known as CTE. I think I said that wrong. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
CTE works, girl. CTE
known
works.
as CTE. I wanted to say it right. His brain was in so bad condition that the neurosurgeon that studied his brain said that he had the brain of an 85-year-old person with Alzheimer's.
And how old was he when this happened?
38.
What? Like he aged his brain 50 plus years.
Yeah. So I actually have pictures of this that I wanted to send you
of his scan.
So this is going to be the healthy brain tissue is on the one side, and then
and we'll post this too.
Yeah, we'll post this. That one, and then this is going to be healthy brain tissue, and then Chris's brain tissue.
Okay, got it.
So I'm gonna let her get it, and then
my God. You know what it looks like? I always thought this. I'm not trying to be weird or anything, or maybe I am.
You are.
It looks like cauliflower. Yep. Like when you cut a cauliflower head.
Yeah, but his cauliflower looks rotten and the other cauliflower does not look rotten.
Yes. It's like the tissue's not there.
It's not there. There's nothing there. There's holes. So not only that, but if you look really closely, guys, we're going to make a post about this. There's it says that the red stains show how abnormal the protein of the brain area was. And it appears smaller.
They shrunk.
It looks shrunk. God. Yeah. So as science advances, because Estela did mention that they brought up some more like
scans
and shit. So as it advances, it does show some consequences about this happening to you and with some reason.
And how that was the case of that. I mean, not the case, but how that's more likely to have been the reason why he did what he did instead of roids.
Yeah. So let me give you the backstory a little bit about CTE and what happens when you have CTE. So their judgment goes down. They have poor decision making. They go for things that are more extreme. They go for, they have no self-control and risky behavior. So they'll do risky shit, but they don't have self-control of stopping it. Not only that, but the mental changes such as anger, anxiety, depression, and the biggest one, which I think that would probably explain a lot because Chris was such a good guy and everybody talked about how awesome he was, is the fact that there's very, very, very big lack of empathy. Like he didn't give a shit. He would not feel anything.
Like he didn't care he just murdered his wife and then the next day murdered his son. And then the next day after he killed his son, he was just fucking chilling in the house or cleaning.
I mean, if that's the case, but if you look at the actual, and we will post some of the pictures of because we try to post as many photos as we can, but it's hard because we can only do so many. And my sister's really good about like posting as many and then with time, but it kind of gets a little bit hard because, want to explain everything. But a lot of these things that do happen with CTE are probably what could make you make a decision like killing your family.
And not feel bad about it. Because when I've heard of CTE, I know they usually talk about it mostly in football.
That was my next one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So Chris's brain was compared, and listen to this, because when I heard this, I literally gasped and I screamed at Alex as he was sitting over here, and I told him, and he couldn't even believe it. His brain was compared to 4 NFL retired players. 4. Mm-hmm. His brain was not... All these 4 players had been retired, were not as bad as Chris's brain was.
Yeah.
And so then, and some of them, all of them, actually, not some of them, all 4 of them mentioned before all of them that they also fell into depression and self-harm and lack of empathy. All of them had the same.
Oh my God. But then his was more deteriorated, Chris's, compared to them.
Yeah, I'm telling you, all 4 of them together were not as bad as Chris's was.
Oh my God. And I know there's a movie about that, right? With Will Smith. I haven't seen it personally, but about a player.
Really? Yeah. Oh, no. I have no idea. What is it called? We should mention it. I don't know. We'll put it in the comment. We'll put it in the thing. In the notes. But in the notes. I mean, the last quote that I have that hit me really hard, because like I said, once again, I do have mental health problems in my home and my family and my everything. Mental health is a big issue for me. And one of the biggest quotes that I want to end my thoughts with this is that he lost the fight with his mind.
Yeah.
He lost the fight with his mind.
But like, how do you help somebody in that situation that doesn't want to be helped?
You can't. But like we said, well, it stems back to 20 something years, 20 over plus years of him beating his head, never getting an MRI, never getting like a check, never.
But can you even help somebody with CTE that advanced? Like
it would probably you would need to stop doing all of that. You know what I mean? Like, stop, because all of these...
Like, I wonder if there's meds.
I mean, I'm sure now there is, but back in
then... 2007?
No.
And that's not widely talked about.
No.
Because they don't want people to... I don't know, right?
But another case that we might do eventually, maybe not, but another one of the cases of people that had CTE was the player from the
Aaron
Hernandez. And they say that he had, because once again, they don't have a sense of empathy. They don't feel shit. They don't feel anything.
Well, isn't it like not really known if he had it or not, but it's speculated?
At this point, because of what they're...
No, I'm talking about Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, Aaron Hernandez? Yeah, I speculated.
Yeah.
But I don't know how bad... I mean, they've never released, like, his, like, scans. I'm talking about... We see his fucking...
You can see his brain.
Chris's brain. Like...
That's the reason why he...
Like, his brain was red. Like, your brain is not supposed to be red.
It looked like red, like a...
Como pintura.
Uncooked chicken?
Ándale.
Yeah, like that.
Like that, yeah. Uh-huh. So, I mean, leave us your comments, guys. This is all I have. This was a big one for me.
Yeah.
It took a lot from me because it consumed me a lot, because I was thinking in my head, okay, did he really do it? Did he not do it? Did he, like, why did he do it?
But you cannot not hear this episode and hear how his brain looks and not think, oh, this is the reason why he did this, not because he was on steroids.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why I did add all of those other dumbass speculations of people, because it's like, dude, you do not know what everybody's going through. Mental health is important, and they matter. Mental health matters, but get help.
But was he like depressed and stuff?
Well, I mean, look at the way he acted when Eddie Guerrero died. Do you not think that he was maybe a little bit depressed for him to react that way? I mean, yeah, you knew the guy, he was your bestie and stuff, and
but to be crying more than his family?
like days of going and crying into the gym and sitting there and just crying and crying and crying. Like,
and then mental health back then wasn't as
well, fuck yeah,
talked about how it is
like
more
people,
now. You know,
people back then, like you had a mental health problems, you were just crazy. Like simple as that.
Yeah,
you know. But I feel like I personally feel like this was a crazy one, and because of the fact that he didn't even show any like.
I mean, I'm sure the signs were there, but he was like, "No, I'm fine."
Yeah, not only that, but when he talks to Chavo on the phone and he's like, hey, bro, he knew that he did something wrong somewhere. He had already done. Because he was sad and he lied about it. But up to what extent does your brain, hey, bitch, you just fucking killed your family.
But like you said, he had no empathy. He had no empathy. He didn't feel anything. So.
Nope. Because that was one of the reasons that.
Because it's like, he did it, but his mind wasn't him. Like, and Andrea Yates, right? That's like
Andrea Yates. That's a big one. Yeah, we're not gonna go into that one because that right there, bitch.
That's just like, and I could never feel. You know, a lot of people are like, yeah, kill her. You know, death penalty. And I remember I did a paper on her for a criminology class when I was in college, and I was like, I cannot
in the 1800s,
bitch, 2010.
2010.
I couldn't be like, oh, kill this woman. She killed her kids. No. Like after my research, I was like, there's no way, you know, she wasn't well. And he wasn't well, you know?
He was not well. He was not well, but at the same time, he was a person that...
he was 38.
He was a young guy. And not only that, but he was a person that he... literally would go out there and would be en la tele para que la gente lo mirara feliz, hacerte reír. You know, that was his job. So for you to turn it, you weren't supposed to see them like this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest
But that también, downfall. Like, I think about, like, Nancy's family. Mm-hmm. Like, how... Like, that was your loved one, and so was Daniel, and I'm sure they love Chris too, right? But, like, how do you... come to grips with this, that he did what he did, but he wasn't in his right mind. I mean, like, do you forgive him? Like,
that's
what do you
thing. Like, fue sin querer queriendo? That's what I'm saying. Fue sin querer queriendo. I mean, is it si quería o no quería?
I mean, like you said, he did it.
Sí, pero fue sin querer queriendo. Like, we don't know.
If he was okay, he wouldn't know.
We don't know. We don't know that. So that's why.
That's what people argue about.
Check on your people, bro. Check on your people that you see. If they're struggling, you okay? If you haven't talked to your friend in a long time, text her.
Yeah.
Hey, them or him or whatever, whoever it is. Yeah. Text them and just be like, hey, you good? You need something? You need somebody to talk to? Do you need a hug? I mean, whatever it is, we can work it through. And I feel like...
Do you need a better credit score? We can fix that.
We can fix that. You know? I mean, for sure. I mean, Credit Karma, you want to sponsor me? But anyway, so like... You really want to check on people and be better people, not be trash. Like, for real. I really do.
But he wasn't trash on
That's
purpose.
what I'm saying. He wasn't trash. That's why I told you at the beginning of the first video. He's not trash, but he did kill somebody.
He did something that was trash.
That was trash. But then how do we know? Don't be that. Don't do that. How do you know? How do you, like you said, como le haces? Like, how?
For somebody that doesn't want help, especially a grown-ass man. Like, how do you tell a grown-ass man what he needs to do?
Sí, pero
that he thinks he's on top of the world.
That he thinks he's on top of the world. It goes back to the same thing. Okay, si tú me dices a mí, estoy bien, pero volteate a ver, am I bien? Do I really, feel? But in your mind, you have to break that, though.
But how do you break that? Like, how do you take that first step?
There's no, that you can't.
Because I'm like, okay, let's say you're asking me, I'm like, hey, bro, you good? And
I think that if you were to tell me, hey, Barb, ¿sabes qué? No te miras bien. Algo te pasa. Like, I think we could tell. Other people can probably tell.
We're not at that, you know.
No. But for example, like him, I think Chavo, he knew something was wrong with him.
But it was too late.
That's what I'm saying. Chavo was like, hey, you know what? ¿Sabes qué? You might need help.
Like, on the call. But Chris would have been like, no, I mean, based on what, you know, just talked about.
But what if he would have gone there beforehand and maybe he wouldn't have killed his son?
Who would have?
Like, what if he would have been like, hey, let me get somebody out there? If Chavo would have been like, hey, and he says he deal with this every single day.
But that's the thing, you never think that it's going to be that.
But that's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, if you, like you say, just trust your gut. If you
trust your gut.
You know, be like, hey, something's off. you know what? Let me go check on this person at their house real quick.
It's like, for example, I talk to my sisters almost every day. Well, 2 of them, 3 of them, a little bit. So let's say that I talk to them and then I call one of them. She's not answering. And I'm like, hey, Kim, you good? One. Hey, Kim, you're okay? Nothing. And I know something's up with her.
That she's been acting weird.
I'm going to call somebody and be like, hey, pero... knowing, okay, well, she's just probably acting weird or whatever. Maybe she's not. But we have to be proactive and do it immediately, because maybe we could. It doesn't, like you said, you never know. But at the same time, it's
just you never know. You never think it's going to happen to you. You never think it's that bad.
You never.
And I feel like people that don't understand or don't have people that suffer from mental health in their family or don't suffer.
No lo miras.
You don't see it from that point of view.
No lo miras. Porque tú, en tu mente, todo está bien, but you don't have that sense of, hey, maybe she's not okay, and maybe he's not okay, maybe he needs help. Pero en tu mente, everything is fine because you want to make yourself fine. And it's not fine. You need to look around. And I think that it's hard for a lot of us to be like, hey, no, it's not fine. I'm not okay. I need help. And, I don't know if
we're not okay. We know that.
But I don't know if this story could help somebody maybe like check on somebody. Like for real. Like I really do feel like if somebody would just be like, text me one day out of the week when I'm having a really bad week, I'm good. I'm at that point in my life where I could be like, dude, I'm having a bad day. I don't feel well, blah, blah, blah. But there's people out there that are not at that point of their day. So, hey, text them. No matter who it is. You might have not been able to talk to this person in
a year,
15 years, 20 years, whatever it is. But just go out there, talk to someone. Try it this week. Just try it this week.
Text somebody
and be like, hey, ¿estás bien? ¿Necesitas algo? Te mando, te puedo mandar $5, Cash App, whatever, just necesitas algo. So that's the end of it, guys.
All right.
Sorry that we ranted there for a little bit at the end, but thank you so much for listening again. Ay, nos vidrios.
Muchas gracias.
I
need more coffee after this one.
Okay. Hola.
Hi.
And
adios, bye.
Adios, bye. Adios, bye.
Okay,
Signing
guys.
out. Nos vemos a la otra.
Bye. You can follow us on Instagram at Cafecito and Crime Pod, or
you can send us an email at cafecitoandcrimepod@gmail.com and just email us. Check on us. See how we're doing.
Check on your loved ones.
If you don't mind, I really do appreciate people if y'all would just comment on our post or comment or send us a message.
So we can
Thank you so much for all the new people, the new followers. We appreciate you. Have no idea how appreciated we are. On top of that, we would like to shout out Estela's friend for our cups. We have cups that were made for us.
I feel like we keep talking about my birthday, pero my other friend, her sister, she customizes cups, and then she gave me one for my birthday, but I didn't want to show up to Barb's house with all my new gear, my new microphone, and my new cup about Cafecito and Crime. So then I ordered her one.
That was nice.
And then I showed up with all my Cafecito and Crime and my new mic.
I was like, how in the fuck is that possible that the 2 people that work in the one place one of them can have a cup? I'm not gonna lie to you. I could have fucking slashed it or something. Like hater vibes.
No.
Hater vibes.
I wouldn't have. I just got a new one done.
Hater vibes for real. Because I'm like, no, there's no way.
So thank you, Maribel.
Thank you, Maribel, and Maribel's sister-in-law. Gabby, thank you so much. And let us know if maybe you can tell us what we should do next. Does anybody can think of any other cases
that they want to hear us talk about?
Yeah, you never know. Maybe
tell us how we're doing. Are we talking too fast? Do we sound fine? We're still working on our setup. So
yeah, I mean, Estela got a new mic, but I didn't. So I'm working on buying one. Pero pues es que en payments, porque todo así,
like pinche caro. We're in a recession, even though people say we're not.
We are in a recession, and
we're poor. Okay, guys.
Gracias. Bye.